It has been 4 months since FE2's last proper update, so what do you know about FE2's next update? Nothing? Are you insane? Are you crazy? Are you out of the loop? Get your head in the game and look at all this information about the next Oh. Why is there so little news regarding FE2? We've had nothing apart from this one tiny announcement. Just to be clear from the get-go, I'm not saying the developers need to be churning out weekly or monthly updates. I am fully in support of an update that takes several months if it means it will be more polished. I don't condone this kind of developer harassment in any way. However, this doesn't mean they're immune to criticism, and I believe I can constructively criticize them in regards to how FE2 is being marketed and advertised to its fans and the wider Roblox community. It's healthy for developers to feel burnout or have other responsibilities, but it's also normal for their communities to wonder what is in store for the game they like. When developers reveal sneak peeks, announcements about their next update, teasers, or even update trailers, this generates hype. Hype is what keeps most communities active and healthy, especially live service media like Roblox games. Hype creates a symbiotic relationship between the community and developers. On one hand, the community is able to look forward to the future of the game, and on the other hand, developers are more likely to see success when they are able to publish those updates, whether this be monetary gain, popularity, recognition, etc. The motive is irrelevant. What's important is this success can easily be attributed to pent-up hype for the game. I'd say it's fair to say that the FE2 community isn't all that hyped up right now, at least not for the main game. Maybe you're looking forward to a new map made by a dedicated member of the community, or even a video made by your favorite YouTuber. When I say FE2 is a marketing problem, I mean I believe FE2 fails to deliver on promoting, hyping, and advertising the game. I will also be only considering the official sources for FE2 info, this being the CrazyBlocks Games Discord server, Roblox community, CrazyBlocks' YouTube channel, as well as the FE2 Twitter account. No, I'm not calling it X, you can't make me. One last thing before we begin, I am not an expert on advertising/marketing, and I can only comment from my perspective as a Roblox player, as well as the tendencies of other games on the platform. Nevertheless, I feel like this is a necessary video to make, as bad marketing can be detrimental for small games like FE2. Let's begin. So what can we speculate on? Not much. Well, kind of. We don't know when the next FE2 update will launch or anything about it. All we can do is stare into space and form our own ideas in our heads. The only things we do know are that A, FE2's next update has been delayed due to the hassle caused by Roblox taking down FE Classic and FE2 CM a couple weeks ago, and B, the next update will include changes to the highlight program, but we don't know what those changes are. This means we have very little to speculate on. Speculation is where fans are able to guess what might be coming to the next update without concrete evidence. In FE2's case, speculation typically revolves around game updates or the game's lore. Speculation is at its best when there is an element of mystery, but there are some crumbs left on the trail. This is because the community is able to broadly agree on what will be coming to the game. But in what form exactly? They don't know for sure which drives debates, theories, and thus boosts engagement and hype. Spoiling too much can often kill this hype as there is too little to speculate on. Spoiling too little doesn't drive speculation enough, and thus there is no hype to begin with. FE2 suffers with the latter problem as there isn't actually enough to speculate on in the first place. Starting with sneak peeks, they are actually quite abundant. For example, this sneak peek, which appears to be a nice modernization of the last game UI that appears upon death. There's a lot more where that came from as well. But have you seen any of these sneak peeks before? Because I only found them due to researching for this very video with some help from Chris Semler. These sneak peeks are posted at random in the lobby channel of the Discord server, which means unless you're extremely active in the Discord, you'll probably never get spoiled before the update actually drops. So the issue with sneak peeks is their lack of accessibility rather than their quantity, but this is still a marketing failure nonetheless. By comparison, the game's Guts and Black Powder regularly releases sneak peeks on a dedicated channel on their Discord server, which are easy to find and generate a lot more hype because everyone can easily find them. This also allows YouTubers to then go on and share them as well, only bettering the circumstances. At least with sneak peeks, the FE2 team does post them, even if they are difficult to access. By contrast, they rarely provide progress updates to let the community know when to expect an update. The most recent one admittedly wasn't too long ago, but the next most recent one I could find was a Q&A all the way back in March of 2025. While they don't generate much hype, they do help retain existing hype as they allow for developers to let the community know that there is something to look forward to, even if it's a longer wait than most were anticipating. While FE2 does put out few teasers shortly before the update launches, they follow a rather repetitive format. Every single FE2 update teaser I can find is just like the video's thumbnail, a blurred and distorted image of a new FE2 map. This means that FE2 maps are always at the forefront of the game's update, which doesn't appeal to everyone and thus fails to generate as much hype as some people want new features that aren't just more maps. The FE2 team also doesn't seem to make trailers for their updates either. The only examples I could think of are A, the Here to Stay update in mid-2024, and B, the FE2 CM auto trailer at the beginning of 2023. Going back even further, the only other trailer I could find is the FE2 release trailer that is almost 9 years old now. How time flies. Trailers can be a very big source of hype as they are usually of a higher quality and are also moving videos rather than still images, while most sneak peeks and teasers tend to be. Also, trailers are typically the go-to source for an update's release date, which generates even more hype. I know they take a bit more work to do, but I do believe the rewards justify the time and monetary cost. Trailers can also be made by the community as well, and given FE2 is already a game that takes advantage of a community input, I think it would be easy to organize. You only have to look at FE2 Rehydrated's Wave 10 trailer as an ideal proof of concept. FE2 also does have a Twitter account which is used to relay some announcement for the Discord as well as repost fan art, which is a nice bonus. However, the Twitter account isn't really the go-to source for news for FE2, and while sharing fan art is nice, it doesn't really generate hype for the game. It's a nice fan service for sure, but from the critical lens of this video, it isn't all that noteworthy in its current state. FE2's current direction, while very open, is also quite uncertain. We have no idea what the next FE2 update is going to be. Is it simply just going to be another map that gets the incoming transition treatment, or is it going to be a genuinely memorable update that expands and evolves upon the game? Is the update going to hinge on continuing existing features like highlights and flood pass, or will it add new features? To insert my own opinion for the moment, I'm honestly not very hopeful for the next FE2 update. I'm not saying I fear the next update will actively destroy FE2 in some horrible cataclysm, I just don't think the next FE2 update will be all that interesting. All I imagine it being is, aside from the sneak peeks I showed off earlier, a new map or two, a few bug fixes, Season 3 of the Flood Pass, and maybe a new batch of highlights due to the plan to rework the highlight program. I imagined it to be very similar to all the updates since version 63.1, which in my opinion have all been quite forgettable updates. I personally believe that the FE2 team may have a lack of marketing confidence due to how sparsely the game is advertised, as well as the rather simple nature of the advertising we do get. Of course, simple isn't necessarily bad, but when the only reveals are quick teasers of upcoming FE2 maps, it gets old quickly. It also shows how FE2 really doesn't innovate by adding new features, but this topic is a little bit beyond the scope of this video. Obviously, for some games, adding new maps/levels can be a strong point of marketing, but for FE2, it feels like the entire focus of marketing, which is why the hype dies down. Variety is the spice of life after all. People want to see more than just new maps, as cool as they might be. A game is more than its levels, it is the mechanics brought to the table plus the player experience as a complete package. FE2 is more than just its maps. Its maps can only go so far if the base features and mechanics are lacking and repetitive, which I personally believe is the case. It isn't as simple as adding new features, of course, but trying to experiment by adding new gimmicks for people to sink their teeth into can go a long way. People will love the game more as it evolves rather than stagnates and repeats itself, and it will also generate more hype for the next update as people can expect to see even more innovation next time around. Everything I've discussed so far is relating to where FE2 is currently at up until the next update, whenever that comes out. But assuming FE2 is still built for the long haul, are there plans for 2027, 2028, and beyond? Some forms of media thrive by teasing or revealing content that will not see the light of day for years as a way of generating long-term hype. This is especially true for certain video games like Terraria's Calamity mod. Calamity has teased its true final boss and overarching antagonist, Yarim, for around a decade, yet due to the size of the mod as well as issues with the development team, Yarim is still at least a few years away from ever seeing the light of day as the mod's true final boss. The developers want to make him the best they possibly can be. A nice payoff for all the hype and support that was generated for the community. People really want to see how Calamity ends both as a content mod for Terraria and as its own canon. By teasing the final boss years before it's ready, this generates a lot of long-term hype and will be a major event when Yarim is finally released. If you want to learn more, I've linked a video by GP in the description. His video was also the inspiration I needed to make the video you're watching right now a reality. Or take Doors, a game you're probably familiar with if you play other Roblox games. The game's third main floor has been teased many times since the mines came out in August 2024. The third floor is still not finished, it may not be released until 2027, as the developers have been working on numerous smaller updates in between the mines and floor 3. There is a long wait between the two main floors, but this is satiated from the start as the ending cutscene in the mines reveals that floor 3 will take place in a castle or a dungeon, unless the developers are pulling our leg. Nothing. There is nothing teased for the far future of FE2, and before anyone says Flood Escape Hybrid, that is still its own game, and I don't really think that counts. Given it was teased in 2024 and still has no known release date, it definitely counts as generating hype for the Flood Escape series, but not really FE2 specifically. Though it is possible that FE Hybrid will inspire FE2 updates, we don't really know what this could be until the game is actually released. So other than FE Hybrid, I don't know if there are any long-term things that we can look forward to right now. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Not all games need to tease some grand overhaul or final boss that would be better than everything that comes before. FE2 hasn't really ever done this apart from maybe Crazy Block's teasing Crazy Plus. This could just be a nice bonus if the developers do have huge plans for the game going into 2027 and beyond, but it's absolutely not necessary. Thankfully, the solutions are fairly self-explanatory. More hype for FE2 updates, as well as the game can easily be generated through quick sneak peeks. These sneak peeks should be small, but fairly frequent, and ideally, there should be a dedicated channel on the Discord server so people can easily catch up. Half the battle is already won. All the developers need to actually do is make sure these sneak peeks are easily accessible. They could also be published to the Twitter account to help with this, alongside giving it a bit more of a use. If progress ever halts, the developers shouldn't be afraid to tell the community that there will be a bit of a dry patch going forward. Obviously, they don't need to disclose why if they don't feel comfortable doing so, but simply saying, hey, we're going to be delaying the next update is more than enough. And when the updates do get closer to coming out, more teasers and even update trailers would be lovely. Obviously, update trailers can be quite time consuming if they're made of high quality, but I'm sure dedicated members of the community would love to help. Much like how people come together to make various OSTs for the new maps like Classic Canyon or Starry Fields, and more recently with the FE2 Wiki, which has had numerous official contributors and hundreds of others have chipped in to help it get it up and running. If Crazy Blocks, Coolzak, or Fennycore do see this video, I am not trying to discourage any of you from working on FE2, I am simply asking you to show what you're truly capable of. The FE2 community wants to see what you have been cooking up and will cook up in the future, they don't want you to hide it. People love sneak peeks for that very reason. I simply believe this poor marketing to be an accidental error and not any evidence of burnout, depression, or anything like that. I just wanted to point that out in a constructive yet critical manner, and even if it is burnout or depression, take your time as all the community needs and deserves is a quick heads up. You can't please everyone, and that's okay. Don't be afraid to show the community what you're up to. The majority of people will love to see it. And for those who don't, that's just more ammunition for you to try your hardest and prove them wrong by shattering their expectations. Even then, not everyone will be happy, but it will lead to a much happier, thriving community. If everyone agrees on everything, it's a cult rather than a healthy community. I'm not saying any of the developers have these warped perceptions of reality, I'm just saying it as a rearguard action in case it is a reality check for anyone watching, not just the developers. This has been a video which I believe has been crucial for me to work on over the past couple of weeks, as I do believe that FE2's shortcomings with marketing and advertising itself has truly hurt the game over the last few years. These trends go back for some time, they are not recent issues that risk worsening the game's hype and appeal. This video was made from the bottom of my heart as a way for me to point out something I believe is alarming, to allow the developers and community team to try to rectify the problem as soon as possible. I also want to extend a thank you to Evan and Chris Semler for helping with the research and writing of this video. Nevertheless, this has been my first video where I've developed a fully planned script, and I think it has been very eye-opening to work on. Even though it takes a lot of work, I think it is something I genuinely would like to do in the future, though this isn't actually Ducky talking, because this is Evan. Remember that guy who also made text-on-screen videos in 2023? In the future though, Ducky hopes to be able to narrate these kinds of videos himself. We both wish you a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you next time we upload.